What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 28th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Friday edition of the podcast. Certainly not a feel-good Friday. I am not feeling good. So let's get into why. Not a good game. Not a good game in any, there's no positives other than maybe the fireworks at the end of the game. But on the same day that Spencer Turnbull gets put on the 15-day IL, in the 8th inning, Kyle Schwarber gets pulled with groin tightness, I think they called it. I guess one positive to take after the game was he said he doesn't think it's a serious injury, but they're going to, I guess, take an MRI today or a CAT scan, whatever they do for soft tissue injuries. But then most importantly, Bryce Harper, not good at all. Lower hamstring, he said it hurts. Pulled it, and here we go. And I'm going to go back to something, and I have to get this out there that happened earlier in the week with the whole Spike Eskin. Oh, we hold Bryce to a different standard. And you know what? That's why you don't run out ground balls that are meaningless sometimes. There was no reason for him to be sprinting down to first base in a 3-run deficit with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And you know why he does that? Because that's the kind of player he is. So yes, I am always going to hold him to a different standard. And honestly, I feel bad for the dude. Just got announced that he was the leading vote getter, was going to start first base. And unfortunately, it does not look like he's going to get to play in an all-star game for the Phillies yet again. Hopefully the news comes back and it's better this afternoon. I will say, there's a lot of I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. This is maybe not quite as bad as when Carson Wentz hurt his knee the Super Bowl year, but it's certainly up there. Just compound that with the Turnbull thing, and I don't know. I had this whole thing. It's a halfway point in the season. We're going to go back, and we're still going to do it, but revisit the Phillies preview and predictions and things like that. But I think you have 4 solid starting pitchers. You have those 4. The 5th one, I mean, it's Mercado now because it looks like Turnbull might be out 6 to 8 weeks as well. Who knows what the hell's going on with Tawan Walker? We'll leave it at that. But couple positives to take away from here. And we've been talking about that stretch they ran where they extended that lead to a pretty hefty lead over the Braves. The fact that you're at the halfway point and you have an 8-game lead allows some wiggle room for things like this. You might be going through a tough stretch here, but you have a solid team, and you cannot replace Bryce Harper. Not saying that whatsoever, but if I'm coming off inconsistent here, it's because I'm still trying to process this. I saw it. I was watching the post-game show, and I was more enthralled with that than the debate, but we're not getting into that. But it just sucks. And without knowing what the MRI, we'll know more this afternoon. I don't think it's time to panic. We built enough of a lead, and it doesn't seem like it's torn, I wouldn't think, because he was able to walk. He does play first base, so that we're not going to be a liability when he comes back, but it is still June. So we're able to absorb this. I just feel worse for Bryce because he was having an MVP season. He was finally going to get to start in the All-Star game as a Philly, and Bryce being Bryce, you hear that Spike Eskin being Bryce, ran out, and it was meaningless. They could have just done that. He could have just jogged down, been done with it. Don't get me started on the umps where it shouldn't even have mattered, but we'll leave that alone. But it was meaningless, but that's the kind of player he is. So miss me with all the Bryce Harper, oh, he's held to a different standard. You know why he's held to a different standard? Exactly what happened last night. No reason for him to do that. He's a whatever $1 million a year superstar. Did not have to do that, but he was trying to give a spark for the fans and for his teammates. So, yeah, let it go. Just like Elsa in Frozen. Let it go with the whole Bryce Harper, higher standard, whatever you want to call it, because it's bullshit. But they're back in action tonight. against the Marlins. And Christopher Sanchez is on the mound, and it's gonna fall on the starters. Are gonna have to pick up the slack, which there's no doubt in my mind. There's nothing for me to say they're not going to. A little concerned with the fifth starter right now, but again, you have a month before the trade deadline, so able to kind of see what goes on. Do we need to go get a pitcher now? Do we need to go get another bat? Lots of moving parts and pieces. I guess the good news is it's probably likely Bohm will play first base. Sosa will be third, so hopefully Sosa can remain to be hot. But Castellanos, it's going to fall on him. Bryson Stott needs to get his head out of his ass and start playing. He's been sort of slumping, so it's going to come down to him. Marsh, you're going to get your chance to play every day likely against left-handers, so you need to, if you want to be an everyday player. So the pieces are there. It's just it's impossible to replace Bryce. So we'll see what happens with the MRI and everything like that, but not a good day in South Philly. Like I said, though, they're back in action tonight, another 6:20 start, so the fireworks show can go. But it's going to fall on all those pieces, and if you never want an injury to happen, but if this is if he's going to have to suffer an injury, I'd rather it be June 27th than August 27th. So now you have some time. You have an 8-game lead. So we'll breathe. And again, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place because I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. But it was not a good thing last night. I was sitting on the back porch. It was a nice day. I'm like, okay, they lost. No big deal. No harm, no foul. And then it just was like all hell broke loose. So we'll see what happens with both of those guys' MRIs. But I was going to do the Phillies, go back to our Phillies preview, which I'll do that. But some of the things have changed slightly. But at the halfway point, Phils are 53-28. 8-game lead over the Braves. One of the best starts in franchise history. One of they have something magical going here. And whether or not they can sustain it without Bryce, we'll see. I do think having an 8-game lead and the Braves not playing their best right now is certainly going to help. I hate to say it, but you got to watch out for the Mets because they are capable. They're capable of getting hot. But hopefully, like I said, I think because you have that cushion, and it's so important to have that cushion, I think they're going to be all right. So some of our predictions and what we said they needed back in the Phillies preview. Fast start. Certainly got off to a fast start. The crowd was going to be pumped every game. That has certainly happened. The division is the goal. It's still in play. And I think even with what happened last night, it's even more important now for them to win the division and hold on to that lead. I still think it's World Series or bust without knowing. And, I mean, no matter what, you got to have that next man up mentality. And we have these guys. Dombrowski has built the team around these guys that really want to step up. So we need them to do it. But then our bold predictions, I gave 3 bold predictions, if you remember. The first bold prediction was Alec Bohm would hit 30 home runs, has 7 at the halfway point, so I don't think he's going to get there. However, high up in, I think he's first or second in the league in RBI, leads the league in doubles with 28. So still having a pretty solid season, so we'll take half credit on that one. And then I said Bryce was going to be in MVP form. Certainly was until last night. Hopefully, maybe it's just something that needs like a week or 2 to rest, and he'll be okay and be able to get back into that race. And then finally, the last bold prediction was Ranger Suarez would be the ace of the staff. Certainly playing like it. So we kind of nailed our through one half of the season. We were able to nail our predictions for the Phillies, but right now everybody's holding their breath to see what happens with the MRIs today. We will have more on that tomorrow, but whatever you need to do, say a prayer, get your Lucky's rabbit's foot out, whatever you got to do, let's do it. Send those positive vibes to Bryce. All that feel-good Friday that we normally have on a Friday, send it to Bryce. I'm not as concerned about Schwarber because he didn't seem concerned, but send some to him too because we certainly need it. But again, we'll have more on the Phillies tomorrow, but not a feel-good Friday whatsoever. All right, let's recap yesterday's tournament action. And out of the cheesesteak region, we had two very good matchups yesterday. And out of the cheesesteak region, Hound Dog was able to slightly edge Sarge. So the 7th seed in the cheesesteak, Hound Dog Bob Kelly is moving on with 56% of the vote, beating Sarge Gary Matthews. And then out of the Ben Franklin division, this was a much closer one than what I thought it was going to be. But late, Smokin' Joe pulled away. And with 64% of the vote, Smokin' Joe takes down Harry the K out of the Ben Franklin division. So Hound Dog Bob Kelly, Smokin' Joe Frazier, you are moving on in the tournament. We will have another 2 matchups later in the show. One of these matchups is a heavyweight matchup today. But more on that in a little bit. All right, some Sixers news. They did spend their second round pick, the 41st overall. They took Adem, I think is how he pronounces it, Bona, who's a power forward center from UCLA. And I really like this move. And I was able to really kind of dig in, look at some of his pre-draft scouting reports, some of his highlight films. And I like this guy. He definitely is going to be able to be in there with Paul Reed and back up Joe. To take a line from the NFL draft, he's a quote-unquote high motor guy, plays with a ton of energy, he's always flying around the court. He's very, very athletic and versatile on defense. Offensively, he's not great, but I don't know if you need him to be great. He's good inside the basket. He's able to take guys off the dribble due to his quickness, but doesn't really have like a mid-range and out jumper. But that's okay if you're coming off the bench. What I'm looking for is the defensive side of him. And he did foul out a lot at UCLA, but I think that comes with just discipline. I think the coaches will work with him on that. But he's a great defender and can guard smaller guys. So a lot of times with switches and things like that, that's what you need as your backup, one of your backups coming in when Joe goes to the bench. So I really, really like the fact that he's going to be coming in and being the defender, and then it's going to fall on guys like McCain and whoever else they signed. They really only have McCain and Tyrese on the team right now. But I really like this pick. I think Daryl Morey, to be honest, I'll give him the credit between Jared McCain and Adem Bona. I think he knocked the draft out of the park. Now, it depends on what he does with free agency now. Lots of rumors, but that starts Sunday at 6. They can start negotiating with guys, and then I believe it's a week later they're able to start signing guys. But I will give Daryl Morey credit where credit is due. I think he knocked this draft out of the park. I know a lot of people are on McCain because people wanted, and why can't I think of his name now? The dude from Tennessee, or I think it was Tennessee. Either way, I like McCain because he can shoot. I saw a lot more people comparing his skill set, not him as a player. Again, I said this yesterday, but comparing his skill set to Steph Curry, the way he can shoot, and I like it. He's quick. He's another high-energy guy like Maxey. And can we please stop with, and I don't know if this is because people are older or what, but so many people were saying, I don't like the pick because he paints his nails and does TikTok videos. Stop it. I don't care if you paint your nails. I don't care if he's dancing on TikTok. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? I think as a society, and I'm going to go on a rant here because it was debate night. I don't want to get into that debacle, but can we just stop? Like, we're so judgy and so quick to, and this isn't even a Tuesday, and this is the whole Bryce thing, but we're so judgy and we're so, he's not, I don't care. I really don't care. What you do, your fashion sense, what your fashion statement is, good for you. If you want to go on TikTok and dance, I don't care. If you're coming to the court every day and you're hitting shots, do whatever you got to do. Like if you're doing TikToks in the middle of a timeout huddle, then I have an issue. But other than that, guys, come on. Be better than that. Who cares if the dude does TikToks and paints his nails? Not necessarily my choice, but hey, I mean, if anybody out there has daughters, at some point, you've painted your nails too. So just let it go, man. Let it go. I feel like that's the theme of the day. Let it go. Get your Frozen on and just let it go. But some interesting free agent things before we move on. We're probably going to be a longer podcast today as I'm looking at the time, but that's okay. It does look like Jimmy Butler is not going. He's just going to play out his contract. He's not seeking an extension now. He's not going to opt into his option for next year. So he's just going to be looking to get paid in the next free agent cycle. So that almost, I think, takes him off the board. And then some KCP news. I'm seeing that the Sixers and the Magic are the two teams that are linked to him as far as signing him. And I saw a lot of things about, and I really, really like this move, a shorter deal for higher money. So it's probably going to end up getting like $25 million or something a year. I would love to take like a 2-year, $25 million a year deal for him with like a 3rd-year mutual option or something. Yes, please sign me up for that. But all that gets underway Sunday night at 6. But I will say, Daryl Morey knocked the draft out of the park. But let me know your thoughts on the draft. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Shoot me a text. Shoot me a voicemail. Anything Philly sports related. What your thoughts on the draft, Bryce Harper and Schwarber's injuries. Get it all out there. Let me know what you're thinking. All right, Philly GOAT. I talked to you yesterday about it, and the more I looked into this, the even better and more I like this. They have the new John Kruk is My Spirit Animal tee, and 10% of each sale goes directly to Battle Brothers Foundation, who does great things for the vets, helps transition them into civilian life, helps with a lot of the PTSD issues and non-opiate methods of doing that, because a lot of vets will come over and get addicted to opiates, and then obviously that's an issue in our country today anyway. So they do a lot of non-opiate treatment and medication to help deal with the PTSD, and then they help them with job placements. Everybody says that they want, I'd love to hire vets, I would love to hire veterans to do whatever, but a lot of times they just don't maybe necessarily have the skills to do those jobs. So this company will help them learn the skills and everything. Like, great organization. So buy the John Kruk is My Spirit Animal shirt. 10% of your sales go to Battle Brothers Foundation, who does great. It's near and dear charity to John Kruk's heart, and they do great things for our veterans. So I'm going to be buying mine this afternoon. So be sure to buy yours, and then use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off, and buy some shoes to match it, and really help out this good cause. So that's phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. And if you buy the John Kruk is My Spirit Animal shirt, 10% of the proceeds go directly to Battle Brothers Foundation, who they do amazing things for vets. So do the right thing and buy the John Kruk is My Spirit Animal shirt. Plus, it's a very cool shirt. All right, Flyers. Round 1 of their draft is tonight at 7. They have 2 first-round picks, the 12th and the 32nd. Lots of options on the table for the Flyers, so we'll be watching that tonight. Looking forward to seeing the next steps of the Danny Briere, Keith Jones regime to go along with Mishkov. All right, today we're going to go back to 2004, and on this day in 2004, the Phillies beat the Expos 14-6 down at Citizens Bank Park. Bobby Abreu went 3 for 3. Pat Burrell 3 for 5 with a homer and 3 RBI. Chase Utley, a young Chase Utley, came off the bench and hit a pinch hit home run. But the story of the day was David Bell went 4 for 4 and hit for the cycle. It has happened now 9 times in Phillies history, and the cycle that David Bell hit was probably the high point of his Phillies career, the short time he was here. But the other guys that hit for the cycle in Phillies history, Lave Cross, Sam Thompson, Cy Williams, Chuck Klein did it twice. Johnny Callison, Greg Jeffries hit for the cycle at the Phillies. David Bell, and then JT did it just last year. What made David Bell's cycle more special than others is that his grandfather, Gus Bell, hit for the cycle in 1951. So it was the first ever, and as far as I know, only grandfather-grandson combo to hit for the cycle in Major League Baseball, which is a pretty cool thing if you really think about it. I'm actually shocked a guy like Mike Schmidt or even like a Von Hayes never hit for the cycle. I know Bryce has come close a couple times, but it is one of those things. It's hard to do. But on this day in 2004, Phillies beat the Expos 14-6. David Bell hitting for the cycle, joining his grandfather Gus and becoming the first ever grandfather-grandson duo to hit for the cycle. Okay, it's time for the ultimate Philly Sports Nickname Tournament matchups of the day. Our first matchup is I could see this one going either way as well, but it's a matchup out of the Ben Franklin region, the number 8 seed. Now, this one, I could not decide between the two names. This was even more difficult than Jaws and the Polish Rifle. But for this one, Lenny Dykstra was the dude because of how much he said dude and could not complete a sentence without saying the word dude. If you remember watching the Phillies yearbook that they would always show during rain delays for the 93 season, it was called Whatever It Takes, Dude. So dude, but he was also Nails based on the way he played, and he did that in New York as well as Philly. So he spent 8 years total in Philly and was a staple at the top of the lineup his entire time here. Hit 289, 51 homers, 177 doubles, 251 RBI, and was very clutch. If you think back, and as I was doing some of the research for this, I forgot, especially in that 93 postseason, just how clutch Lenny Dykstra was. If you needed a homer, you needed a big hit, even if you needed a big catch, he wasn't afraid to lay out. So, but I forgot, like he's kind of a shell of what he was now just because of a lot of the things he's dealt with. But as a player, he was a hard-nosed player, where the name Nails came from. Just a hard-nosed player. He got that when he was with the Mets, but it stuck when he was here in Philly. We talked about dude, but Lenny Dykstra, one of the leaders and best players for that 93 team. And I didn't realize he was here for 8 years. So Lenny Dykstra is the 8 seed. Dude and Nails, I couldn't decide, so we're going to put both of them up as the 8 seed in the Ben Franklin region. And the number 9 seed he's taken on is Megajawn. A.J. Brown has only been here 2 years, but has been by far the best 2 years of his career. And honestly, I think his 2 years here are better so far. And we know T.O. only played a year and a half, but better than the Terrell Owens years. And I still think his best is yet to come. In 2 years, he has almost 3,000 receiving yards, 18 touchdowns, and he's an absolute beast. He's not going anywhere for a long time. He is still has 5 years left on his contract. Now, the Megajawn nickname came from Good Morning Football. They gave him that nickname, and it's slowly catching speed. He just got it last year, so it's slowly catching speed. But Calvin Johnson was known as Megatron, and the Philly spin on that is Megajawn. It's one of my favorite nicknames. Probably ranked it a little higher than what it should be, and if it was up to me, I would have ranked it a lot higher. But today's matchup in the Ben Franklin region, the number 8 seed, Dude and Nails, is taking on Megajawn. Get your votes in any way you can on social media, Jimbo_Mott at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Email me, comment wherever you're watching or listening to this, all that other good stuff. But the number 8-9 matchup in the Ben Franklin region is Dude/Nails taking on Megajawn. Who has the better Philly sports nickname? And then in our second matchup, we're going to the Balboa region. And this is literally, no pun intended, a heavyweight fight. The number 6 seed, the chairman of the boards, Moses Malone, Mr. Faux Five Faux. Man, only spent 5 years here in Philly. 4 if you count, or 4 core years, and then came back late in his career. Averaged 12 rebounds a game, 12.3 for his career. But the chairman of the boards led the NBA in rebounds 6 times, including a career high 17.6 per game in the 78-79 season. He was a 3-time MVP, including the championship year in 1983. He also won the Finals MVP, called the Faux Faux Faux. Other than that one loss to Milwaukee, it was a Faux Five Faux. He was the missing piece the Sixers needed to get over the hump. His number 2 is retired and up in the rafters. And obviously the nickname comes from him just being a rebounding beast. So the chairman of the boards, the number 6 seed in the Balboa region, he is taking on another legend. The number 11 seed in the Balboa region is Steve Carlton. Lefty, his nickname for obvious reasons, left-handed pitcher. Came over to the Phillies in 1972 in the trade for Rick Wise. Immediately went 27-10, won the Cy Young, and what made that even more amazing is the Phillies only won 59 games that year. He is 4th all-time in strikeouts. He's the second most strikeouts for left-handers of all time behind Randy Johnson. He is the Phillies' all-time leader in strikeouts, wins, and games. 4-time Cy Young Award winner, 4-time NL wins leader, 5-time K leader, 10-time All-Star, 7 of them in Philly. His number 32 is also retired out at Citizens Bank Park, and he won that World Series, or helped the Phillies win the World Series in 1980. But that is our second matchup in the Balboa region today. The number 6 seed, the chairman of the boards, takes on the number 11 seed Lefty. And then in our Ben Franklin region, we have the number 8 seed Dude and Nails taking on the number 9 seed Megajawn. It is your turn now. Which is the best nickname in Philly sports history? Get those votes in any way you can. Any of my social media. Call me. Comment wherever you are. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're starting to get more and more subscriptions to the YouTube channel. And again, that really helps. The more people that subscribe, the more people that interact, the more I get put in to these, playlists when YouTube will say, hey, you might like this video. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, even if you're a podcast listener. But we'll have the recap of today's matchups. The number 8 seed Dude/Nails taking on the number 9 seed Megajawn out of the Ben Franklin region. And in the Balboa region, the number 6 seed, the chairman of the boards, Moses Malone, taking on the number 11 seed Lefty, Steve Carlton. Get your votes in. Give me a call. Text me on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Anything Philly sports related. There's a lot to talk about today, so let me hear your thoughts. Am I crazy giving Daryl Morey as much credit as I am? Is this way more devastating that Bryce Harper is injured than what we think it is? Anything is fair game. Call, leave a text message, whatever you got to do, but let's get the conversation flowing. Flyers, 2 first-round picks tonight. Anxious to see what they do. On this day in 2004, David Bell hit for the cycle in the Phillies' 14-6 win over the Expos, joining his grandfather Gus as the only grandfather-grandson duo to do, or I shouldn't say only, as far as I could find, they're the only, but they were the first to do it that way, and that happened on this day in 2004. Keep your fingers crossed. Send all those positive vibes you can to Bryce and Kyle and try to, I don't know, whatever you need to do, say prayers, whatever your go-to is, let's do it because this has been a fun year and I don't want the fun to stop. But we have a month before Dave Dombrowski needs to figure out what he needs to do with this team. So it could be, the timing could have been worse. So I'm thankful for that. So we'll see where it goes today when they get those MRIs. But likely at least a couple months for Bryce, or at least a month, I would say, for Bryce. But we'll see what happens. But please stop with the Bryce is held to a different standard, because he showed you last night why he's held to a different standard than any other athlete in Philadelphia. All right, this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 28th, 2024. It is Friday, but it's certainly not a feel-good Friday right now. Maybe we'll get some good news later and the vibe will change. But go out, enjoy your Friday. It looks like, or felt like this morning when I had the dog out, it's going to be a beautiful day. So go out and enjoy. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.